Today, Techland announced a standalone multiplayer expansion for the critically acclaimed Dying Light. As a big fan of Dying Light, I'm a little bit torn between being psyched and also a little bit concerned about the future of this franchise. I also have a theory that this might be what Dying Light was supposed to be from the start. But first let's talk about what we know about the upcoming newly announced Dying Light Bad Blood. As I said, Bad Blood is going to be a standalone expansion, which means it will be available even to people who don't own the base game. So basically it's a new game. As of now, we don't know if the game is going to be free to play or not, but we know that it should be coming in 2018. However, the most important question is what type of game it's gonna be. The official post from the developers on Steam says: "In a city infested by zombies, you and 5 others wake up with no memory of how you got there. Your only means of escape is to appease your kidnappers by harvesting blood samples from the infected. Will you ally with the other survivors or prey on them to secure your own safety? Anything goes as long as it gets you out of the zone. Form dynamic alliances with other players to take on formidable zombie bosses. And then you turn on your allies to steal their blood samples. In a cruel setup where everyone fights for the survival of the few, betrayal is not a question of if, but when." From that we can assume that this will be a PvPvE game. Players will be following some kind of general objective that is to be reached by finding and harvesting blood samples from the infected, and they will have an option to do that alone or by cooperating with each other. Now, some players are already speculating that Dying Light is jumping on a bandwagon of Battle Royale survival games like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. But if we read carefully, we know that this game won't be like that. That being said, it will be definitely in the similar genre, just with a different approach. Of course, as of now we have zero footage and only little information about the game, so talking about gameplay and its features will be pure speculation as of now. However, there is some more information on the official website that can give us a little more idea about the game. We know that the main emphasis will be on survival and cooperation in combination with the betrayal element. The other 2 main aspects of the gameplay featured on the webpage are rapid looting and evacuation. This element of scavenging will be definitely a big part of a gameplay, as it is in all Battle Royale type of games. Looking for equipment and the improvised usage of what you found is a big part of the fun. Now, this particular part in the evacuation paragraph is interesting to me. The more samples the player harvests collectively, the more seeds are unlocked. So the survival alone might not be enough for you to actually finish the game. It seems there will be a limited capacity for evacuation, directly related to how successful you were through the level. And this is what I think will make the game interesting. It won't be just about the survival alone. The end of the game will probably depend on how many blood samples you have at your disposal. We are yet to see how many ways to obtain the samples will be there, but one of the ways will most probably be killing the aforementioned formidable zombie bosses, and something is telling me killing those will be probably very hard or impossible without cooperating or maybe betraying your fellow players. I think there will be a lot to it, and I'm pretty sure this is not just another zombie survival clone jumping on the bandwagon of the trending genre. Actually, I think Techland wanted to do something like this before. I actually think Dying Light was supposed to be PvPvE game from the start. Let's look at the Dying Light's announcement trial back from E3 2013. We now know that Dying Light is a cooperative game for up to 4 players, but I remember seeing the trailer and thinking that this will be a PvP game. First, we see a party of players free-running and seem to be chasing an airdrop, which is a popular element in a survival PvP, and we can see it in games like Rust, for example. Now we know that airdrops actually made it into the game in form of this random side event that happens in Haran from time to time, but it's a very minor feature of the game and it's not usual to make an announcement trailer about minor things like that. This leads me to believe that these airdrops were supposed to be much more important aspect of the game than they are now. The trailer continues and we see a party of players continuing the free run, and we can now confirm that this is indeed a party of 4 players. Then we can see the improvisation with randomly found tool that is used as a weapon against the zombie. A clever cut takes us forward in time, and now we see our party indoors and better equipped. We also see one player being overwhelmed by a zombie horde, but our protagonist doesn't try to save him and decides to leave him behind. Another cut takes us forward again, and we see a new weapon that is hinting the weapon customization we know from the game. This time, the protagonist decides to save the other survivor. Now, I believe that this was supposed to be hinting the ability to decide if you want to save the players in need or leave them left for dead. And I don't think this meant just the ability to help the knockdown teammate. This might as well be the gameplay element of deciding to save or sacrifice a fellow player. After that, our 2 remaining players continue and we see the volatile for the first time. The chase continues, but only our main guy makes it as his partner falls to his death. The last guy continues forward until he reaches his goal, the airdrop, only to be knocked down from behind by another person, or maybe we should say by a 5th player. Now, if you erase what you know about Dying Light as it was eventually released, this sure looks like a trailer for a cooperative survival game with emphasis on scavenging, crafting and betrayal. Soon after E3, first gameplay footage was released and we learned that Dying Light is going to be nothing like that, and that it's gonna be a story-driven game rather than survival with PvP elements. But we don't know for how long was Techland sitting on this trailer. Maybe the game was reworked around by the time this trailer was done, and Techland needed to show something on E3, and they didn't have the time to make a new trailer, so they presented this one, because they knew that the airdrops will be still in the game, preserved as this random triggered event as they showed it 2 months later in the first gameplay video. So my theory is that Bad Blood is what Dying Light was supposed to be from the start before they reworked it for some reason, and I think that's a good thing. Not only because they already spent some time developing this idea, but also because it would mean that they are not just trying to milk some money from the whole Battle Royale mania. It would mean they tried to make a Battle Royale game long before this genre was even a mainstream, but they didn't believe in it enough at the time and decided to make the game different in the end. Now they probably think they passed on a great opportunity, so they are trying to make it once again, now more than ever when the name Dying Light has a fairly big fanbase. I am also a bit concerned about the future of Dying Light and the Techland itself, because by this time I was awaiting at least an announcement for a whole new game. It's been nearly 3 years since the release of Dying Light, and it's been also more than 3 years since the release of the announcement trailer for the Dead Island sequel, which doesn't seem to be coming out anytime soon. At first I was thinking that they are maybe abandoning the project and slowly reworking the game into Dying Light 2. Because both games are essentially the same, but Dying Light has the free running element to it. And I don't think I would now like to play another game like that without the ability to run and jump over everything. So I was awaiting the announcement for Dying Light 2, even more so after the announcement of 3 DLCs for the game. But instead we got Bad Blood. This of course doesn't mean that they are not working on the other games at the same time. Maybe Bad Blood is to bring a cash injection to the development of the next game, be it Dead Island or Dying Light sequel. But I can't help but to be a little afraid, as this reminds me of Sleeping Dogs and its developer United Front. Instead of working on a sequel that fans wanted, they started working on a Triad Wars, a PvP multiplayer spin-off that was never released, and studio closed down later in 2016. So I really hope this is not the case. Be that as it may, I hope this game will be great and successful, because I love co-op games and it's still a rare occasion to get your hands on actually a good one. and Techland made some pretty good ones, especially Dying Light, which is one of the best co-op games I've ever played, so I hope Bad Blood will bring success and brings us closer to the Dying Light 2. If you are, as I, interested in what is Dying Light Bad Blood going to offer, you can now go ahead to dyinglightgame.com/badblood and register for the upcoming playtest of the game. I already did so, and if I'll be given a Steam key in the future, you can be sure I'll make a video about it, so feel free to subscribe if you're interested. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.